Interesting tactical combat in D&D is very heavily movement-oriented. Where you're standing, where you move, and when you move there are all very heavily influential in the outcome of a battle. Think of a wide, 100-foot by 100-foot empty, vast space. Now put the player characters and the monsters into it and watch them go at it. That's a battle. But how much more interesting does the battle get when you've got cover to dive behind, things to trip over, choke points to command, and escape routes to block? Difficult terrain is the simplest level of battlefield design, and the simple addition of this one thing will help you take your combats from plain old hack and slash into interesting decision-making processes for your players. And why yes, I'm about to ramble endlessly about how you can use it to best effect as a dungeon master. Difficult terrain is very simple in its rules to process. Each square of difficult terrain on your battlefield takes 2 squares of movement for a player to move through. Every foot of difficult terrain is 2 feet of movement. Every time somebody picks up their mini or drags their token across the battlefield, they have to stop twice on that one square before they leave it. The oldest and most profound element in tactical game design, as far as Dungeons & Dragons is concerned, not counting third dimensions, magic, like half the class. The point is ranged and melee, okay? Ranged and melee. This can be really hard to maintain a good focus on when you're designing battlefields if your story has you, say, going into tightly closed sewers or inside of the very small thieves guild. Difficult terrain allows you to maintain a lot of that tactical crunchiness without having to sacrifice. Difficult terrain allows you to maintain that battle between ranged and melee and positioning, even in tight quarters. The first rule of understanding how to properly use difficult terrain when you're building a tactical battlefield is that players don't think in exact measurements. They're not thinking 30 feet, 45 feet, 15 feet. They're thinking, hey, this turn, I can reach this dude and kick him in the nuts! In Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you basically have 2 core forms of movement. There's the normal run, which is 30 feet, and then there is the dash, which is 60 feet. But if you dash, most of the time you won't be able to attack. Alright, so, let's talk examples. This is Fnarg. Fnarg is a fighter. I don't know why I named him that. You don't know why he named him that. He doesn't know why he named him that. But that's what his name is. Fnarg can run 30 feet and make a swing to hit the archer. If you put a little difficult terrain in his way, Fnarg can no longer run and attack in the same turn. He can still close the distance to the archer, but that'll be taking a dash action. And if he still wants to swing, Fnarg is going to have to spend his once per rest action surge. Suddenly, movement just became a source of interesting decisions for him. And just like that, we've made dashing, action surge, all that stuff look really important. As a matter of fact, we just made the charging feat look really appealing. Blah, 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 movement, 30-foot range, blah, 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 swing, swing, blah, blah, Fnarg. What you're here for is when to use difficult terrain and how to use difficult terrain. I use it to cram multiple turns of movement as a requirement for crossing a space where I would normally only get 1 turn of movement. That lets me make my ranged units still take that advantage of being ranged and blah, 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 blah. If you combine it with a choke point, like this, you can use it to make a trap zone, where once you're in it, you're gonna have a hard time getting out of it. That can make a real intense encounter real quick. If you combine difficult terrain with places of safety on the map, you can add a tactical downside to diving into the really safe place that you've designed for your players to take cover. The downside, namely, is that they have to spend more time getting in and out of the space, which gives enemies chances to react. A single patch of difficult terrain between 2 safe points that you otherwise would be able to reach with a single turn of movement and still take an action can create some really interesting decisions for players. Finally, difficult terrain is my favorite way to create my favorite tactical decision for all of my combats. Do you go fast and risky, or slow but safe? So if that's the tactical significance of difficult terrain, how do you work it into your battlefield? What does it look like to the characters? I mean, it could be literally anything. You could have knee-deep water, rubble, pebbles, marbles. You could have it be like mud or really thick underbrush, stairs.
Very, very thin ledges.
Or what about variations on the standard difficult terrain mechanic? You could try difficult terrain that even eats 3 or more squares of movement, although I'd be really careful about trying this. It would be interesting to see a hard stop on movement as the player characters are crossing the battlefield, though. You could try difficult terrain that is only difficult terrain one way. Or you could try difficult terrain that doubles movement speed in the opposite direction. flowing water, a very strong wind, etc., etc. You could also try difficult terrain that's optional but comes with a downside if you ignore it. Maybe it's difficult terrain where the characters might be able to run across it at full speed if they pass a check, and if they fail that check, then they wind up prone. Or maybe they can run at full speed through the area of difficult terrain if they pay the price of stepping on all the Legos and taking damage for it. Seriously though, don't put Legos in the middle of your battlefield for your characters to step on. You're trying to give them a challenge, not outright murder them. All of these sort of extra things can add a nice, small layer of depth to a battlefield after your players have already adjusted to the concept of difficult terrain on your maps. Remember, the goal is to create interesting decisions about where the characters move and when and why, and how far they can move in any given turn. And there you have it. Why you need difficult terrain, how you can use it, and a couple of cool variations on the rules for it, in addition to some ideas for stuff that you can put in your battlefield that will then be nice difficult terrain for the characters to try and struggle through. Do you have any cool ideas for difficult terrain that you'd like to try at your table? Or maybe your DM has already tried to use difficult terrain at your table. Let me know your horror stories or your awesome moments down in the comments below. I'm evilsqueegee. I'll catch you guys later. Adios. Grit of the sand building up on your face is starting to dry up into dirt cakes. Been so long since you had anything to drink that you just about stopped sweating. The stash of gold and treasure was marked just about this far out on the map. Mojave Desert ain't known for being too kind of strangers though, so you keep your hand close to your holster as you dismount and pat your horse, looking around. Taking you 10 long years to find this place. A lot of hucksters and flannel-mouthed shysters trying to sell you lies along the way too. Been told that you could find the secret buried in the mind of that Instagram feller about more times than you can count. Sure did have a hell of a lot of maps and even quotes bounce around in his noggin though, but no treasure. Facebook too. A lot of folks said you'd find the treasure there. Sure, was easier to find your Monster of the Day post there, but still, nothing. No gold. Twitter? Nope. Plot twists and jokes ain't gold neither. Folks, I got a hard time hearing when a man is saying what he wants, apparently. Not even Game Wisp's treasure troves seem to have what you're looking for. That's when you see it, though. The shape of a beautiful young lady just casually walking along the fields, the breeze fluttering her pretty white dress around her ankles. She beckons you to follow. Like and subscribe. Her voice reaches your ears on the wind. Treasure just might lie ahead. Then again, might be loco. What do you do?